get going of today. So thanks for joining me live today. Welcome to the Photographer Academy, and today it's another part in our 10 steps to starting a boudoir photography business. And this session we're looking at products and pricing. If you're joining us live in the studios on a Wednesday afternoon at 5, for the next 4 weeks we're continuing our boudoir theme as well. So we've kind of themed it all together. So you could actually kind of stop by and actually see some exciting stuff that's going on. This week we're photographing a boudoir in the bathroom. It's technically not a bathroom, it's a blow-up swimming pool. And again, our lockdown model is basically with us for kind of our shoots and things ready. But today, products and pricing, obviously all related to boudoir. And what we're going to be doing is today specifically, I'm looking at the entry-level boudoir pricing for you to give you a good guide on kind of what kind of products is good, what kind of pricing is acceptable. Obviously, the more exceptional your service, the more specialization that you are, the higher your pricing will be and the more money you will actually get from a client. So again, whether you're just getting into boudoir, you're adding it into your services, these sessions are really designed about kind of looking at it from the more entry level rather than actually the specialist level at that point. But if you've got any questions and you are already specializing in boudoir and you need some hints and tips and tricks, actually, whether it's products and pricing or being able to maximize the sale, then please get those into the question panels we're going. The good news and the bad news to do with boudoir doesn't take a lot of time to discuss on what clients are going to buy. Predominantly, you are going to be looking at album sales and print box sales and digital sales as a rule of thumb, okay? So as far as what kind of products you choose, the first thing that I would say, if you're a non-vatable business in the UK and you're using UK companies, then remember that an album is non-vatable. So basically you won't have to pay or charge, inclusive in your price as it were, that 20% that gets lost. What do I mean by that? Remember, if you're a non-vatable business, you cannot charge VAT, obviously, because that is a tax added to your sale, and then you pay the tax that you've charged back to the government, less costs. But as far as the products are concerned, you are still paying VAT on products. So albums come under a certain category where you don't have to actually charge the actual VAT, all right? So you don't get charged the VAT by your supplier. So if I was you, I would ensure that at least in your price list, you're encouraging albums anyway, and a variety of them, especially if, as I said, you're a non-vatable business, because you won't have to add in the tax, as it were, because you're not being charged the tax to begin with. So albums should feature heavily. However, when we start to work on what you need to be doing overall for boudoir, it's realistically going to be breaking itself down into 5 main things, but there's a 6th to do with how the payments are going to be made. So as far as digital is concerned, I would recommend that on your price list, you are showing 10, 20, 30 and all to do with the digital kind of pricing as such, really. I mean, it depends on what you're kind of supplying them out to the client, how you're supplying them. I mean, obviously we've got a very kind of basic USB that you're seeing in the picture here. I would tend to go for a lot more kind of feminine look. So the likes of the acrylics, the likes of the little heart-shaped kind of elements are all things, obviously, if you're a female-based business, you would need to actually have products, looks and feels that would actually have that kind of quality that they would associate themselves with. Now, one of the biggest problems to do with digital, if all you're doing is selling digital, even though they can be great profit, one of the biggest problems that you've got, of course, is that it's hard to quantify what they're worth unless your experience is exceptional. The prices that I'm going to be giving you on all products are as a guide for you today, and as I said, they are really based upon an entry level into boudoir rather than being a specialist in boudoir. So as far as the digital is concerned, as I said, the digital really has no kind of value to many clients, so we have to package it in a way that does add value to it. One of those things is not only the USB itself and the box that it comes in, but it can also be in the license that you include to print. One thing that you should remember when you are selling digital files, as far as I'm concerned, then you are selling the right to print. So you may as well use that as a part of your sales spiel to make sure that clients understand they can actually use those images and where they would go to print them and so on. Now, it doesn't mean you have to direct them to a certain place to get them printed, but it does mean that, of course, it kind of gives them an idea and the permission to actually go and do it. So as all of my files include copyright information in the metadata, that would include the copyright protection. And what I would do in images that I'm selling to a client as far as digital is concerned, when they do buy the digital files, the metadata of that file gets changed to sold with permission to print. So that allows anybody to actually look at the metadata in that file, and they know straight away, even though there's a copyright of Mark Cleghorn, it also within the metadata itself, it says that it has permission to print. So we actually supply a document on the USB as well that actually says that. And please do actually check out the so and so on. But what I would also encourage you to do, if you are going to be selling digital files and you think that is where you're really going to be specializing in more, I would still encourage you to actually sell them as far as a digital USB product is concerned. But I would also open up a online gallery, and you could actually turn it then into a very greatly reduced print pricing. So in other words, I use the likes of SmugMug as my web kind of hoster and supplier and everything else, and I have the ability on there to obviously sell my files or images as well to go print. So if a client orders directly on my website, it is actually white label printed directly coming from a lab going straight to the client. Now obviously there's different price lists for different people and different price lists whether they bought digital or not, but one of the things I can do as soon as the client is buying digital from me, I can convert their gallery into, you know, cost, I don't know, but I would still add on at least 100% of cost of product on top. So even if I was paying £2 a print, let's say, that would be doubled up to £4 a print. You just have to make those decisions about exactly what you are worth and what makes the digital file worth more money, and one of those things is the license to print. So my suggestions to you are, if possible, okay, at an entry level, 10 images would be worth £450, 20 images would be worth £550, 30 images would be £650, and all of the images I would recommend you selling around about the £750 mark. The print boxes, now, as a rule, when we sell a digital file, we also include a print of that. That basically shows them the color quality of what they should expect from the file enclosed, as it were. That's one of the reasons I like to offer, inclusive of the digital, the print box is inclusive in that anyway. All right, we're going to look at some products now in a minute. But as far as the print boxes are concerned, again, once more, 10, 20, 30 in all. And the print box is basically just the packaging. If possible, the print box should also allow us to actually put the USB in there, or we can separate that out because you might be using a third-party supplier for your USB. And as far as the print boxes, they are usually available in a whole host of kind of different sizes. Now, I'm just changing my suppliers, and one of those would be SimLab and Sim Imaging. So if we were to go over to the print box, so SimLab is where you get all the kind of the prints done. They're a very low cost product, in the same way that One Vision is another supplier that we're beginning to use as well now. And they're a fraction of the cost of our supplier for the past 10 or 11 years. So we are looking predominantly at looking at maximizing profits during these exceptional times ahead. And obviously what we want to make sure as well is that the quality of the print is exceptional. Now, I already know the print quality of One Vision, and that is exceptional, and again, it's a slightly higher cost, but again, very, very good print quality. But if I'm on a budget and I still want a professional print quality, SimLab, you know, for the likes of a 10 by 8 coming in at 50p or below, it's an exceptional kind of price for professional print quality. Now, if I was supplying, as I said, from my own website, this wouldn't be the pricing that we'd be seeing, because the print supplier charges X amount of money. I lose 15% of sale to SmugMug as well. And so basically, if I was selling the likes of a 10 by 8, it would still be visible on the Mark Cleghorn site today at around about £5 each, okay, as a guide for you. But that would be only available to clients who'd bought digital files. When we start to look at sim imaging and the product ranges and things really, so when we're looking at photo print boxes, we're looking at around about £25–35 for a kind of a print box, and this is obviously just a holder of prints. So within here we would need to add the prints in as well. So you can see there's a 4 different ranges or 5 different ranges of product: 6475, 86/996. Remember, 64 and 96 are full kind of 35mm DSLR kind of size, and obviously we got 10 by 8 there as well. So you can either go for just a product kind of with your own logos all of them, or kind of saying. By that, we can actually keep these in stock then, so we're basically only waiting for print production. And we've got another option, of course, to go to an image cover, which would be able to actually have this custom made to the client. So even if I was selling a print box, for the digital sale, when we include a print box, we would go for a studio design. When we go for a custom design for the client, when they're buying the print box specifically, then we actually go with it as far as the product is concerned. So as far as the kind of the prices are concerned, whether it's image or linen box here, you're looking at 25 quid for the 6/4, going not much more, £35 for the 10 by 8. So kind of very realistic in the kind of the costing. So then straight away, when we start to look at the cost of product, if we were doing a 10 by 8 print box, and if you are going to be selling print box as one of your majority of things, I'd recommend multi-size print box. So in other words, I'm offering at least 2, if not 3, different sizes of box to actually be going there. So you can kind of have that on the price list as well. So albums, yes, that can be everything from a coffee table kind of style going up to a little bit more luxury, like a wedding album. Going back to the print boxes again, I would actually keep them at a very, very similar price as you are for the USB. So in other words, 450, 550, 650, 750. And then obviously I would probably do something like the digital files then at a 50% discount if you were doing so. Remember, as far as Mark Cleghorn is concerned, we sell a digital product with print. We don't sell a digital product without a print in any way, because I want them to see the quality that we can be doing it with. So albums, again, a great product cost. Remember, that is no VAT. So again, for you, if you're non-VATable, you might want to make sure that you're emphasizing the cost. There are certain products from certain suppliers where an album with USB somehow is still classed as unVATable. Theoretically, with a digital product and a USB within it, it should actually fall under the umbrella of a vatable product and so on. But again, how they're getting away with it, we're not quite sure. So album-wise, I would go for a basic around about $650. I would have a deluxe one going up to about $1250 as such. But as far as what you're offering within there, you could go up to about $2,000. So in other words, you'd offer probably about 5 different types of album, quantity, size and finish to actually meet a whole kind of host. Remember, in Boudoir specifically, clients aren't going for big art for the wall. So we need to make our collections and products really sellable by obviously having the right kind of product for them. Wall art, then, I would basically have 2 distinct styles. One would be big art with the likes of canvases, perhaps starting at 30 inches, 40 inches, 50 inches, and if possible a 60 inch as well. But with those, of course, they're probably not going to be bought, so you can actually price them quite sillily or quite aggressively, because they are quite cheap for us to buy, and obviously they are cheap if the client is buying digital for them to kind of get hold of them yourself. But I'd much prefer to take hold of production, and I'd much prefer to earn, you know, 300 quid, 400 quid or less on a big canvas art. If it's only costing me 100 quid, I don't necessarily need to run through the full times 5, 6 or 7 pricing structure that I would usually work with many of our products. In the wall art, then, I would tend to actually always encourage you on the price list to have smaller frames. So what you're seeing in front of you in the picture is basically a 10 by 8 in a mount in a frame. Okay, I forgot to bring that through, in fact. Let me see if they're in the gallery. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So for those of you looking on webcam, you should be able to see this is a 10 by 8. It's got a multi-mount on it, so it's quite lavish in its production. It's got a very opulent style of vintage frame with it as well. This is a kaleidoscope product, specifically they designed for me. But it's available through their normal kind of ranges as well with it. Because of all the mount work in here, it makes it very, very expensive. But what I wanted was an opulent quality, so I could actually offer these out to the client. Specifically, if we know a client is only going to buy something like a 10 by 8 or 12 by 10 or so on, I wanted a product that felt still that it was great value for money, and it's craftsman made, it's sealed glass and so on. So again, what we're going to be paying here is a premium price because of a premium production. Now, if you're just getting going in the likes of Boudoir, probably you need something that for display that is showing a premium product and a premium price, yes. But then you'll also need your big art budget kind of stuff as well with it and things, really. So you're not penalizing the client for having exceptional taste and wanting to sell exceptional things, because some of your clients might not be able to be buying them. Sorry if you're not seeing this on the presentation. I've got to include close-ups of it. But again, this is a kaleidoscope product that specifically they designed for me and things, really. I've even forgotten the name of the frame, to be fair. I do apologize. But again, once more, I just don't want to be selling one of those on the price list. I want to be selling those in at least 2s, 3s and 4s, and I would have a slightly rolling discount when they're grouped together. So one might have a value of £300, 4 of them might have a value of £900. Do you know what I mean? So you're basically creating a product that when they're buying more of the same thing, that basically they can actually price it correctly. So as far as the kind of the wall art, if we were looking at more budget and you were going down a cheaper kind of range, so in other words, if we were using the likes of Digital Lab and we were using their Fiesta frame, a simple black frame, 16-inch is probably coming in about 65 to 70 quid tops. No, if that, in fact. But we'd be looking around about the 350 mark for that, for 16-inch. In the same way, the 20-inch 350, I don't think there'd be much of a difference there in price. And even though it would be a slight increase in cost to us, I would much prefer to actually try and encourage the client to go upwards in size. Then the likes of the 24-inch, about 450, 30-inch 550, and then we're obviously into big canvas art as a rule. We would be kind of encourage them to be going down that route perhaps, unless they want the opulent look. So for a 40-inch then 650 and a 50-inch around 750, but those would be canvas-based prices that I'm giving you. So remember, what I'm talking about is entry level rather than actually specialist as such. You could pretty much treble those prices that I'm on about, if not quadruple those prices, if you're a specialist. Collections, we always talk about this. I know I'm a stuck record, but it's the best way to ensure that the client knows that it's the best value for money to basically buy multiple products together in the collections that we've created. No dissimilar to kind of going along and buying a brand new car where they've got the basic model, the kind of advanced model, and the super duper deluxe model. There's more toys thrown in with it, or more things included, and basically it's the better value for money, so that's the one you end up going for. So even though there's a slight erosion of profit than going a la carte all the time, it makes it more affordable for the client to be buying. Payment plans, again, would be one of the main things. Sorry, what I was going to say about the collections, I put one together. So an album of images, so all images, licensed to print, a wall art collection of some kind, and a budgeted album. But you should be looking probably a mid package to be around about 1250 to 1500 as a kind of an entry level, but that middle package is designed to be what you really want the client to spend, and as long as you have an IFC kind of in place, that should be achievable for around about 50% of your clients kind of coming through you. IFC credit card, obviously it goes without saying they need to probably split the payments, so be aware of that and make it available so everybody can afford it. Obviously with things like interest-free credit, so on, you are going to lose some of the actual profit. So you need to either add that into the original costing, or basically you're going to be losing that profit. The image in front of us, in fact, is one of the images that we shot last week, just before we went live, Academy Live at 5 on a Wednesday. We were shooting some other films with our locked-on model Kelsey, and basically we were shooting the American Beauty style of imagery. I think those are going to be on the site over the next few weeks. Jay will know a little bit more about that. But again, so the image on the left-hand side is kind of giving you a bit of a teaser of what is coming. As I said, when we're doing these 10 steps, or what I'm doing these 10 steps, I'm trying to build the film content that I'm creating for you, basically to kind of being able to replicate there, give you some ideas and start to really build the business around it. So as far as products, whether we're looking at the likes of One Vision, as I said, they're a new supplier for me now, same as Sim Imaging. But you can pretty much see here, we've got a whole host of products. So image boxes, kind of going through there with it, acrylic prints, photo books, wedding albums, you name it. Again, most of the suppliers will do multiple products today, whereas once upon a time, a lab just did prints, and if we were lucky, they canvassed them and laminated them. Now most labs have a full finished product no matter what with it and things really, so it's just not down to third-party people. We touched on the photo print boxes from the likes of Sim. They've also got a presentation folio, but things like the folio box would be what we refer to more as images in a mount in a box as such, really. Again, so it kind of gives you an idea on kind of, you're pretty much familiar with what I showed. In fact, in the 10 o'clock session we did this morning on sales, we were featuring these products anyway. I tend to go for a white mount instead of a black mount, but that's just a personal thing from me. And you can see there's the different kind of sizes and all options that are available to do with their different boxes as such, really. The kind of the print at the cost of products then and things really are usually down here at the bottom when you're kind of scrolling through on the sim imaging site, so you can get a good idea on how much the actual box is and then how much for the prints with mounts, etc., as we're going through it, and then how much more to add a USB in. I mentioned before when I'm kind of doing a print box, so that is different to what we're seeing. This is a folio box. This includes the print in a mount. When I was referring before about always including a print product with my digital products, it is just to ensure that they can see the actual quality of the print, and so that if they are getting prints done themselves, they can do that comparison. But at the end of the day, that's the difference between going through a professional print production rather than actually going to Tesco's or whatever it be and things. But we have no control of that client once they go away with our digital product, and by giving away the prints with it, it kind of gives us a peace of mind to know the client then knows that this is the quality that they should be expecting, and don't come back to us complaining if there's something wrong with it. One of the reasons, of course, if you're selling digital files, you need to give that full resolution, is because I should be expecting a client to buy something big for the wall, even if they're not buying it big from me. So selling them a low resolution file, I absolutely detest when photographers offer that to a client, because they're basically useless and you're just going to get problems coming back. Okie doke. So as far as the kind of the product range is concerned, it really is down to yourself. The likes of the more professional kind of products, as I said, if you're using specialist framers like Digital Lab, Kaleidoscope, and so on, you are paying a premium price, but there is a premium product in there. When you're using things that are a little bit more kind of affordable and budget based, like the One Vision, the Sim Lab, and the Sim Imaging, we are expecting these products to be at a slightly different kind of finish level. So again, it's really down to yourself. So when you see a folio box here from 32 quid, plus you're adding all the prints in, you need to start to actually kind of look at them together. So when you start to kind of put your pricing together, you have to use some form of equation when you're getting going in the likes of your boudoir business or your photography business of some kind. You're going to realistically have to kind of give some equation to your pricing. And probably when you're just getting going, you're going to work on somewhere between a ×3 and a ×4 to 4.5 kind of pricing of the product. Now, when you're getting going, just to avoid any errors, make sure that you add postage onto every single order when you're pricing them out. The reason I encourage you to do that is so you don't all of a sudden realize you've lost £1,000 a year because of postage costs or whatever it will be, and you haven't kind of scheduled them in. So it's better that the client product itself is disguised by adding an extra 9 quid into it or whatever the kind of the suppliers charge. So you can see in my kind of example one here, we've basically got the Digital Ab Fiesta frame 30-inch, £65. It is vatable. It's 78 quid. So then I would actually so if I'm looking at this kind of line, I've got to decide on what I want to be charging. So if I'm at the beginning end or the kind of the high end. So in fact, even if we were looking here at that product price, a 30-inch, yes, remember at this point, I'm even at this ×7 selling price. So there's great profit in here for us. What we've really got to think, well, okay, I don't need to be greedy on that because I'm not going to be selling a lot of them. And it's just, this is when you kind of use the pricing guide as a guide, and then you actually say, right, this is how much I'm going to charge. So if we looked at the print box and 20 prints there and so on, you need to actually start to kind of put them together in a price list, especially when we start to work with collections. Obviously, we need to actually kind of put multiple products together. But when we're working here, when we start to actually look at the price, so if we just said an album for a minute was going to cost us, I don't know, that's £225. Let's say it's one of the more luxurious ones. The first thing is, where do you feel comfortable in what you're selling out to the client? So in other words, let's say you kind of go, okay, for my albums alone, I'm going to charge my ×4. So in other words, I'm going to charge £1,000 or £995. I can then come across then, yep, and start to actually kind of fill this in. So £995. There's an £11 postage in that. Total cost, including VAT and the actual VAT and post and packing, is 2881 delivered to my door. So that is giving me the kind of the profit that is going to actually kind of deliver. So that's a big profit there. Now, when you're at the beginning of your kind of career, we don't want to sell ourselves too cheap to begin with, because it's a long way up. We're better to actually have a decent price to begin with and give an extra discount, or I prefer to add extra products in, and that's where the collections can really start to actually work in. So if in your gut you feel that £995 is too expensive for you to charge, then that's when you've got to go in there and basically look at it and go, okay, I understand, this is how much I've got to charge for that image. Why I'm saying it here on the £995 first is that that looks like an exceptional kind of profit, agreed? But when we start to work at the print box and the prints together, so this is going to be around about £55. So we'd usually use the collections kind of on this point. However, when we get into the ×3, so remember we're looking at these two lines together. So when we come across and we start to go, okay, so the print cost is £20, yes, and basically we're going to be timesing that by 3, 4, so on. You can start to see how it starts to kind of really kind of mount up here, all right? So in other words, let's say for the print box, we really want to actually be charging at this case. You can see as it starts to mount up here. So with a print box with 20 images in, I'm going to say, well, in fact, even at the ×7, it's only £294. The print cost is negligible anyway, because it's going to be the same. It's still going to be about 20 quid, all right, cost to us. But this is where we say, in fact, it's not the 294, but working on these equations, we can start to add the two together. And this is where we can start to actually say, well, okay, as a minimum, I'm going to sell a print box at 450. This is going to deliver me a 397 profit. So it's at this end, once we worked out the basic equation at the front end, we can start to really look at the profitability of the business. Because let's not forget, it's all based on X times Y equals Z. And we've kind of used our other Excel, our roadmap in the past, and we'll come back to that again at the end of this the series with it. But we've got to make sure that the products that we are selling are delivering the profit that we need. So if your business is based on 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions in a day, then obviously we're going to see extreme kind of profits if we're high priced, or we need to hit 3, 4, 5 sessions a day if we're keenly priced, because if we don't, we're not going to earn any money. And this is where profit is absolutely essential to understand in the business game, and not how much you charge. It's essential that we really look at it, because if not, you might be just doubling or trebling your price and not really making enough money that you need. So as far as when we're looking at products from whatever suppliers you use, we need to understand fully what the total cost of that product is going to be. I think it's a little bit easier when we're working with the likes of, you know, linen photo book and USB. Why? Because there is a fully finished product price that's kind of come down to here. Depends on the sizing that we're going to use, on that actually what we're adding in there and so on with it. But realistically, 110, 210, depends on the type of the album. What you don't want to do is just absolutely go to the huge kind of cost of some of the more expensive albums and expect that to be a kind of the standardized kind of product. If you need to have the entry-level products, because you need an entry-level price, you need to ensure you're choosing the right products for it. Okay, Jay, any questions on today? Remember, today's question should be predominantly about products and pricing. The next session, we're going to be talking about using a hotel room or suite as a location business. Jay, questions?
Yeah, just a couple on the session, mate. So we've talked heavily today, or we've been talking about, obviously, clearly about products, the folio box or the print box and a USB. Do you cap the number of images that's in the box?
Okay, it's a good question. I tend to always show the client around about 48 photographs. All right. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, I basically know straight away how many that client is going to be seeing. Does that help it?
And so then your package, would that include the 48 images in the print box?
If whatever is viewed in front of the client, so in other words, the viewer would need to know exactly how many is in the images. So when they talk about all of the photographs, they would talk about the number that they were actually presented. We're only ever going to show the client the best of the best of the best. That's absolutely key.
On the same note, then, the USB would have the same images?
Correct. So I'm either going to be selling 10, 20, 30, or all.
So staying on the same vein, an album in a print box, say an album and USB box, that's going to be limited to the amount of spreads. And would you, I presume, I shouldn't presume, that's the question. And then do you have options to add into the album? If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So, I use Fundy software for all my album design. So it doesn't matter if all 48 are going into the album, and it's lesser spreads, whatever it would be. Obviously, some of the bigger albums, so it depends on what level that you're at, but obviously you'll be selling albums with a different number of spreads in them. Obviously, it's going to increase the price anyway for you, the more spreads that you have. So you want to keep it down to controllability. So in other words, if you've got 48 images going into an album design, pretty much that's a 20 spread album without any trouble with a Fundy designer, and I can basically do it within minutes.
Brilliant. And the last one on products. You only touched on it, but we didn't go heavily about wall art, but do we offer it? Because obviously it's quite a specific genre.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Jay. We did touch, because we did that sales session this morning. I do apologise, and I talked about Boudoir then. But yes, you always need the range of products no matter what. So you're still, even if it never sells, you're still going to include wall art. You're still going to have a big wall art, a multi-wall art, a kind of a specialist range that you use, whatever name you give to it. You're going to have albums, you're going to have print boxes, and you're going to have digital. Plus, you're going to have collections. They should all exist on the price list.
Sorry, last one on products. With regards to sample products, would you have one of everything that you offer?
Okay, so first of all, in sample products, this is a really good time of year in January as a rule to refresh your samples. Most suppliers have some really great offers running. I know Kaleidoscope have one within our experience group. I'm sure there's something running outside. We definitely know that Sim Imaging, Digital Lab, and One Vision all have sample offers running at present. Would I want lots of different types of product around the place? No. Where possible, I'd like at least one of each. So in other words, if I was going for the print box, I would at least have one in the smaller size and one in the 10x8 size. So in other words, when we were looking at sim imaging a second ago, and we were looking at the print boxes, sorry. So if I was going for the print box, I would have, so if we come down here, it'll show us the size. I'd have at least one of the 6.4 and one of the 10.8. Okay. However, if you wanted just the actual 8x6 to be the main one that is going to sell, then obviously you would go for the 8.6 and the 10x8. You always want something a little bit higher, so they aspire to it, rather than actually kind of pull it backwards and things. Really, does that make sense?
Yeah, brilliant. I know you did answer this earlier, but somebody's just asked to clarify the size of the image on a USB.
Okay, I provide full resolution files, so whatever they've been cropped to and as finished for the viewing is what the client would get. So I think my Canon shoots something like a 5,000 plus pixel, but obviously we do allow for a little bit of trim. But again, we don't crop to 10x8. We don't crop to 7x5 or whatever it is, and we do explain that to the client. We're basically cropping as a professional product. So the benefit of kind of going even to a print range, if I was going to the likes of sim imaging, I haven't got them here, no. Sim imaging, no, I haven't got sim lab, sorry, is what I was on about. Sim lab. So I can sim lab, there we go. So the benefit in here, if we just go into the print size and the photo printing, when you go to order, remember all these prices are down here at the base anyway, okay, so you can see them all straight away. But when you go to order the prints, you do get a choice as far as, if we go into photo prints for a minute, whether you're going to have no border or a white border on the image. I absolutely love that because that looks amazing in a print box. Most of my prints, I'm not sure you can see, but most of my, most of my prints have a kind of a border running around the edge. I just think it adds a little bit more professionalism to the image, especially when I'm obviously including it. If the client obviously is going to be producing it themselves or ordering it elsewhere, then basically we can't do that. Does that help, Jake?
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's all the questions I have for pricing on products, mate. Just and somebody's just asked for a little bit more info on it. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, that's okay. Sorry, somebody's just picked up on. We did mention at the beginning that the Academy is just down for some maintenance. The recording will be there as normal. The site will be back up and running this afternoon properly. So sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry, just a little bit more information about the experience group. I think you're going to do that anyway, mate.
Yeah, thanks for joining me live today anyway, kind of thing with it, guys. Brilliant. Remember to always head over to the Facebook page if you've ever got any troubles with links coming directly live actually onto one of these sessions, because they're always posted there on the day several times, so you'll be able to get that link straight away with it. Sorry about